I'm going to start fitting your bumper. Now, you bought a bumper that was already chromed. At some point in time, it had some damage in the middle of it, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And when they went and straightened it and re-chromed it, it looks good, but it doesn't fit right on this end and a little bit off on this end. So let's go over to the table, and I'll show you what I got to do to your rear bumper. Here's the rear bumper you got, and they have already chromed it, but I guess in the shipping process and stuff, it has some little nicks and chips and stuff here and there in it. And also, I guess it was damaged right here, and I can see shrink marks all on the back side of this. And they got it nice and straight, but in doing so, it's turned this down right here. And I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Where this comes around, and this piece is, I can actually stick my hand up under it right there. So I've got to pull that back up and get it in place. This one's down a little bit. You can see it, and I could probably pull it up, but it's going to pull this down because this is a little bit stronger. So there's going to be a window in between the two where it's got to be. That's probably going to require me to have to tack weld at these two places and make this unit one. Then I'll have control of it. If I don't ever do that, then it'll always be out of control, and how it secures to the frame and stuff like that can dictate how it lays out here on the end. And I want it nice and square across the bottom, but also I want it nice and uniform across the top. It may be hard to pull this up. I'm not sure how. It's going to be easy to pull this one down. It's going to be hard to pull this one up, and I really need that one to come up a little bit. So I may have to build a little jig around this thing and get it in that spot, then tack weld it together, and then we'll send it out and have it re-chromed. Because once I have this piece all as one, then it's going to stay nice and strong as I bolt this in place and as I put your end caps on. If not, the way it is with the end caps bolting on and sandwiching all this, all the end caps, I've got them here, or the little caps for that, not end caps, little caps for that, are they're going to be subject to twist or turn. I want those nice and straight, and that's what they're doing now, is they're turning because this doesn't fit. Closer look of it, and this is what I'm talking about right here. You can see how that is, and it's going to be easy to pull this piece down, but I need this piece here to come up to get them back together. And then this side isn't so bad, but when I put them the little bumper caps on there, it's making them lean. And yeah, I'll get this unit as one. It'll make it much better. I want to show you the inside as well. Now, right in here, you can see all the shrink marks. Those are all shrink marks where they've straightened that all over. And in doing so, it's turned that quite a bit right there. You can see how much that's turned up. And then you can see how much it's turned up right here. I can kind of stick my finger in between there. I've got to get that down and tack weld in place and make it one piece so that we can control this thing. Now I got your bumper back here at the back. I went ahead and bolted in the lower part. I haven't got a bolt in the top yet because that piece is still turned. And I've got your bumper brackets on there, and you know, they stick out quite far in the front. And right now they're both leaning out a little bit, and that dictates how the ends of your bumper wrap around your car. So I'm going to pull those in and get those mounted, but I'm going to pull them in and match them to the back of the car. So I'll be able to pull those around and pull those around one at a time, not just pull them together, because I'll be able to tune this in by moving this one. I'll be able to tune this one in by moving this one. Then when I get it located where I want it as far as wrapping around the car, we'll see if it's in line with the frame rails and in a good spot with the frame rails. If it is, I can just fabricate your frame rail brackets right there and go ahead and get those locked down in place. Then when I've got those in place and it's locked down and secured, then I'm going to come back and tack weld this in place, tack weld this in place, and then start working this top end and actually weld this where it needs to be on the car. Alright, Bruce, I've got up on there and cleared some stuff out of the way to where the bumper brackets go up under your car. And your bumper brackets are wider on the Woodie than they are where the frame rails are on the Explorer. So I'm going to have to bend those. I want to maintain the original Woodie parts and look as far as possible. So that means I want to try to use the original bumper brackets all the way back to where it mounts to the Ford Explorer. I don't want these brackets to look like anything other than what came off of the Woodie. And then when they bolt to the Explorer, then they can be fastened in on a bracket, and then it'll be all Explorer. So first order of business here is to get it in the dead center of the Woodie, and then I'm going to wrap this bumper right around it. So I've located the dead center of this panel here. I'm fixing to locate the dead center of this of the bumper, and then work on fastening these frame rails in, and then I'll work on bringing these ends of the bumper around. And once I get it all in place, then I'll tack weld it all together, then pull it out. Then the back of this is about done. Sometimes it's hard to know when to say when. I've got your bumper up here, and I had it all tight and as straight as I could get it over there on the table. Then I get it over here, and this end is run out this way. This end's a little bit tight. They don't want it clamped down good for the extensions that go on it there. So I've got it all loose again. I've centered up this centerpiece, and I'm trying to find a good location with it. And I think I'm pretty close, got it level and got good clearance. But just knowing when to say when on these end pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and I've cut these off. That's the original bracket. I'm going to drop it down a little bit and probably get the centerpiece mounted, and then start playing with these ends. If I can just elongate some of these holes and get that to turn and follow the body, that would be nice. But if not, I may have to do some bending and flexing on that, and I hope I don't, but because that could get ugly. So, all right, Bruce, I've got stuff everywhere. I've made 3 trips to town trying to come up with metal and ways to fasten it. I've got to come up with a way that I can fasten it to your car that looks nice underneath, that's serviceable where you can take the bumper on and off, that's adjustable so that we can move the bumper around, that's strong enough to hold the bumper in the place that needs to go, and all that. And then once I pick that path, I have to go with it. But all those paths, I have to plan out that job from start to finish to see if there's anything about that job or path that's not going to work. And I just think it all the way through, and then there's something that hits me like, well, that won't work. So I have to come up with another way, and then come up with the products I'm going to use to make it work. So now I've got it boiled down to, I know the bumper doesn't fit on the ends. From here out, it doesn't fit on both sides. So I might do something about that. And I think it's because, or I know it's because this centerpiece has been wrecked at some point in time. I can see the shrink marks inside there where they used a power hammer to straighten this. And they turn these corners just a little bit, which turns these. So I'm going to have to dress that eventually, but not yet. I've got to get the center part of it. I've got it level and where I want it secured to your frame. Now, well, the way your frame is, it lines up exactly with these bolts. So I'm going to have to engineer some brackets and the lower mounts and get this thing held. So I went and bought the some 3/8 thick flat stock. And I'm making the mounts that's going to go on your frame rails right now. These are going to go on the bottom of your frame rails, and try to blend these in so where they look nice, and then your bumper brackets go on that. So, but what I did is I went ahead and drilled my mounting holes where I wanted them, bolted all this together, then I cut and grind them the same. And then now I just got to remove that mill scale. This was a hot rolled steel. It gets that mill scale on there, and you got to get that off. And then I'll weld these in place, and then work my way back to getting this centerpiece in place. And once I get it locked down, then I'll work these ends around and work my way through. But fairly complex little deal right here. I was hoping this bumper would have fit, but doesn't fit at all back here. This side, I can stick my hand in between the side of it over here, and I've got this center part dead center. So I know the center's got to be in a certain spot, so I'm going to go ahead and lock it down, and then I'll just work my way out. So you can see I've taken the end caps out of the equation. I know where this end needs to be located as far as this piece goes and that piece, and I've got them squared up. I'm using this one just to get this bottom piece on the inside where I need it. So I've got the flange that used to be on the original, or the end of the original bracket inside there, bolted down where it needs to be exactly. Then I've made you these extensions. I've only made one. I've got the other one kind of close. But that's 3/8 plate, 2 inches thick, pretty healthy bumper bracket. And went ahead and mounted on your frame rail the other piece of this and kind of blended that into the frame so it looks nice. So I'm about to put this piece in, and then I'll make the other side put it in, and then I'll have this piece where it is it'll hold itself right there with these brackets, and then I'll start figuring out what I'm going to do about working these ends into place. Because like I said, this one, well, I can stick my fist in between the side of the car and this one where it is, so somehow I've got to get it tighter. I may end up having to cut it off, move it in, re-weld the ends, and do the same on the other side, because we want it to fit. It can't go like this. So let me get this piece put on this bracket to the other side, and then I'll have the centerpiece located and installed. Worked out real good. I got your centerpiece in here, and it's hanging on its own. I actually did a little tack weld on it to hold it there so that I could start fitting these without the bolts being in the way. For whatever reason, when these ends are on here, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but when they're on there in that spot, I can put my fist in between it right there. And I really can't turn it in. I don't know why those are so long. So what I would like to do, and I'm going to call you and talk to you about it, I'd like to cut these off a little bit and bring them in to fit about like that, and then actually tack weld them to this other bumper and do both sides like that. And then this will be a tight fit, beautiful look. And then I'm going to change my mind on this, because I was thinking this through, and the safety chains are going to be in the way, and hooking it up, if the ball was right in here, there's a chance you could hit all that. So what I'm going to do is just drop your hitch down underneath there. I've got one over here that's just the receiver part, the center part where your receiver goes into. And probably going to put it down below, and then just have your hitch right here, so that you can have your safety chains under there, and maybe not be so prone to hit the paintwork. Well, Bruce, this is kind of what I got in mind. I was talking to you earlier on the phone about the rear bumper, and I'm going to start cutting on these end pieces and making it fit. And this is kind of what I got in mind on the hitch. Have that receiver up on there where you can't see it, and that'll sit about like that. So I'm about to pull this back off. These somehow got pulled in, and they're in the shape of this. So I'm about to pull that up and do a little work on this before I make a cut on it. I'm kicking right along. Now, after I had this centerpiece mounted up there and made sure I knew exactly where I needed it to go, kind of seeing how those laid on there when they were all bolted together, I noticed that this area right here was a little out. The two didn't match either end, and this piece is stronger than this piece, so it was just pulling that down. So I went ahead and put these in my hammer and dolly back there, and the chips scratched up a little bit. We're going to have to get it re-chromed. But you can see how much, I don't know if you can see in that camera, how much better that fits. Before I can stick my fingers under there. And I got the other side hammered out the same way. I'm trying to proceed with caution and pick my battles here. So I've got all the metal work straight, and it fitting pretty good right on both sides where that was out. This side of your vehicle is a little shaped a little different than this side of the vehicle, and that's a factor. This radius and this radius here are shaped a little bit, and that's a factor. So I'm trying to find the best window to where I can match around the corners here with the least amount of work. And in doing so, I have moved this one in and moved it in and just got them clamped here. And with an inch off of them, they're fitting way nicer. But this one, an inch in, fits totally different than this one does an inch in. So I've studied quite a bit, and I think I've got a plan. I'm going to try to do this in as few cuts as possible. But once I make the first cut, I'm kind of at the point of no return. I mean, I could weld it back on there and all, but I do not want to do that. So I've got it planned out here. I'm fixing to make a cut right here, move this back, and work this one in. And when I get a good plan for this one, then I'll do this in the same way and then tack weld them together. But yeah, and even this is shaped a little bit more, a little different than this one. Look at what I'm talking about. So I'm about an inch here in right here, and you can see how good that one fits. And probably have to cut it off right in there. But this piece here, it's shaped a little different than that one, and all of this is just a little bit different. So this one I've got my first mark right there is where I'm going to cut it, and then just bring it in, and see it fits totally different over here than the other one. And there's a window of where I'll be able to use some of this meat for this radius, and then I'll have to bring this in for that part. So just trying to get it right in the middle to do the less work to get those in place. But all right, Bruce, there she is, almost the point of no return. Now, I cut that off as perfectly as straight as possible for the thickness of that wheel. In case something did happen, I can put that back up there and space that out and tack weld that back on if I need to. But getting this fit in, I went ahead and made one more cut, so I got 2 cuts in it, and I just took just a little bit off to kind of straighten it up. And I've got it fitting in there pretty good. But around this corner, I really can't change the outer radius of this. But I have a little bit of meat right here, so I'm going to bring this into about 15 millimeters here, and then try to follow that around by grinding that out to shape it back to the body. But there's going to be a spot where I can't go any further because this thing's going to start mouthing open as I cut back into it. I'm going to start cutting into this radius. So it's just a little bit I can take out, but I think I can blend the two and then put that right there. and then that's going to be a pretty good fit. See what I got going here. And now that I've shaped this metal like this metal, I've cut this one down. I've probably cut 1 3/4 out of it, bringing it over, and then I've ground and back cut all that, and I've got it fit, and I've got it coming right around this corner about a finger's distance, pretty even all the way around. And then once I get it all built, I can come back and test if this is a little bit more. I've still got a bumper bracket I can put right here to move this in and out a little bit. So, and that's fitting just beautifully that well. I'll be able to tack weld that and dial in, straighten that, and then put your cap over that. And this is looking nice. Now I've got all this welded. I've got it just barely setting up there, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with these. These, I have to change the surface here on both sides. First, fit it to the bumper, and then make it to where when it tightens up, it's going to be straight. That's going to be a little tricky. But anyway, I'm fixing to start doing that because they've got to be straight this way and straight this way. But I want to give you a closer look at how good this fits. I mean, it's loose, just sitting there. Like I said, it's just sitting there. It's not just got 2 little bolts just hanging on the bottom of it, and I still don't have the end brackets made. But that's looking good. But you can see how, I know it's hard to tell on the camera, but this thing's leaning over and kind of out a little bit. And I'll go in there and true this up. I don't know if you can see, there's a gap right through there, and I'll just fit that. And then kind of same on that one. And then you can see the end of that, how much better that looks. Golly. And then I've got it setting perfectly level. And then over here, I got your hitch and stuff I ordered online from Kurt. And I'll weld all that in underneath the back of here. And then you'll have your receiver. And I'm fixing to do all this, the receiver part now. And I love doing this stuff.